when you're winning the majority of Latino men in America, and when your percentage of the black vote sets a record high since the civil rights movement, it's hard to argue, oh, this guy is supremely racist, white supremacist. So they moved to oligarch, they moved to fascist, they moved to all these words that people don't know as well, and it hasn't mobilized. And so I think the decision by these judges is, first, we're going to be the front line of defense. Second, I think they see it as career acceleration, as a way to gain promotions. Because if you are seen as the most fundamentally, ardently committed against the Trump team, they're playing the long game. These guys and gals have lifetime sinecures. They have jobs that they can never be fired from, by and large. We don't impeach judges very often. And so they know, hey, we'll be the most virulently anti-Trump element out here. And then when the circuit court's judgeship comes open, or when a Supreme Court justiceship comes open, I'm going to put myself higher in the category. And I do think we should mention this. The perfect distillation of this is Katanji Brown Jackson. I've read some of the quotes that she is giving, and I couldn't believe it. And I think you're seeing the other 8 members of the Supreme Court recoil against her, because she says basically, hey, I'm on the court. It's really important that everybody knows my opinions. She doesn't mean judicial opinions. She means opinions like what should exist in the world. And I flagged a couple of these quotes, and I was reading them again over the weekend. I say this as someone who went to law school. What she is arguing for is not judgeships. If Katanji Brown Jackson wants to run for the Senate, or she wants to run for governor, or she wants to run for president of the United States, and she says, I believe X, Y, and Z, and let me tell you why it's important, good for her. That's how the democratic process should work. But we shouldn't have judges, particularly not judges on the Supreme Court, who are just writing their political opinions time after time. And I think the judges on the Supreme Court are fed up with it. I think you saw it from Amy Coney Barrett, where she basically completely destroyed Katanji Brown Jackson's dissent. And I think increasingly, even Sotomayor and even Kagan are looking at Katanji Brown Jackson and saying, you're not a judge, you're just an activist. And I think there are a lot of Katanji Brown Jacksons that got elevated during the Biden term who have nothing and no interest in actually being judges. They want to be members of the legislature that are given the ability to share their actual personal opinions.
This is what always places conservative jurisprudence, unfortunately, at a political disadvantage. This has been the case for a long time, but left-wing activist judges know that they are to use their position to deliver results for the team, and the law is not supposed to get in the way. And unfortunately, on the right, you have people you have conservative jurisprudence, constitutionalists, who feel like, even if this is a really bad thing for the country, or even if this is a really immoral outcome, this is what the law says based on what the Constitution says, and that is the way that it is. Katanji Brown Jackson is not even pretending that that's a concern anymore. She's just, my team wants X, so my team should get X. That's it. And her team is the left, the Democrats, and the so-called living constitution theory, which is fascinating when you think about it. It doesn't really say what it says. It kind of says what you want it to say. Okay, well, that's fun.
Well, and I even think she's taken a step beyond. Look, all judges and anybody out there that's been a lawyer or involved in the judiciary process know this, on some level can look at the law and use the law to get to a result that they want to get to. That's just the reality. And some judges are going to be more expansionist in the way they look at it. Some are going to be more reticent. However you want to establish what your philosophy is. My concern with her is she's not even really, I mean, this is what Amy Coney Barrett said in her majority opinion, which the 6-3 opinion, if I remember correctly, just ridiculing Katanji Brown Jackson. She's not even saying, hey, the Constitution says X, and as a result, we have to do Y. She's basically, and this is really, I think, important because it's happening more and more. She's saying, I believe X, and therefore we have to do Y. That's not being a judge. That is being a politician. And she's not even hiding it anymore. And I think it's actually somewhat offensive even to Sotomayor and Kagan, because at least they're trying to peg their analysis in some way to
Kagan,
the
yes.
Constitution.
I'll give you Kagan on that one a little bit. I think Sotomayor I think she's in the same place ideologically. She just hides it a little better. I think, like, in my mind, and now we're really nerding out. Kagan sometimes will say, look, this is what the law says. I'm a progressive and, it stinks, but this is what the law says. Just based on her decisions, right? The way it comes down. Sotomayor is more, I hate this, but I'm gonna go against it, but I'm gonna try to find some
Yeah.
constitutional grounding for it. Katanji Brown Jackson is just, well, this is bad, so you can't do this. there's no way around it.
I think she is the least qualified person to ever be on the Supreme Court. And I think that the other judges are looking around and kind of in disbelief that she's there. This is, look, you lawyers by and large who end up on the Supreme Court or at high levels of circuit court judgedom are super nerds. And I say that affectionately. They really love practicing law. They love reading opinions. They like they get in the weeds. Even if they're progressives, like I'll give Elena Kagan a lot of credit here. I think she's super smart. And I think if you sat down and talked with her, you may not agree with her judicial philosophy, but I think in a faculty lounge at Harvard, everybody would say, I respect her opinion. I don't think anybody respects Ketanji Brown Jackson's opinion when it comes to the law. I mean, actual legal nerds. I think if you're, the leader of some far left-wing interest group, you respect Katanji Brown Jackson because she agrees with you, but she doesn't have the ability or willingness to peg it to the actual larger, sort of judicial temperament that we have come to expect for generations on the Supreme Court.
I also think that we've reached a place where if you are talking about any kind of a political issue or you're even a political person, I don't think you or I, Clay, I mean, heaven forbid, but I don't think you or I would be able to get a fair trial in a court where one of these, even if it was like a civil thing, we don't have to talk about crazy stuff, criminal, but I don't think we would get a fair hearing from one of these Biden or Obama appointed activist judges that are
Totally true.
constantly slapping down Trump. I just think that it would go against us in whatever way the judge could make it go against us. And that's a shame because we've actually lost something. The US system has always been imperfect, but there has been this ideal of it is about the law and it is not about the preferences of the individuals who are in the process. I don't think that's really possible, Clay, to make that case the same way anymore. I think everyone sees it's really politics. It's really
Yeah.
politics, unfortunately.
Well, and I think Katanji Brown Jackson is the worst version of that, probably that we've ever seen on the Supreme Court. I really do mean that. And I think even people on the left on the court are starting to be embarrassed somewhat of the fact that she's just a politician who happens to be wearing a robe as opposed to an actual judge. Look, there's a new online hacking scheme. Recent college grads, they're the target. Cyber thieves trolling for people who want to get rid of their student loans. Who doesn't? And they offer help to reduce or eliminate those loans. All you have to do, name, social security number, loan amount, and as soon as they get it, look out. Lifelike detects and alerts you to potential identity threats you might not spot on your own, like loans taken out in your name. If you become a victim of identity theft and you're a LifeLock member, you can rely on a dedicated U.S.-based restoration specialist at LifeLock to work with you to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. I have LifeLock. You guys should have LifeLock as well. Join now for 40% off your first year with promo code CLAY. Call 1-800-LifeLock or head to lifelock.com. My name, Clay, as the promo code for 40% off. That's lifelock.com, code CLAY, promo code CLAY for 40% off.